Hey, everybody. It's Kang and Camilla with the FI Resellers. Thanks so much
Yeah.
for joining us. So, why don't we go ahead and just jump right into it? Shall we? Oh, actually, let's say hi to a few people. Let's say hi to
Yeah.
Ella and Sarah. Thank you so much for coming, y'all. So, today we're just going to talk about our strategy on.
Hold on.
We're going to talk about our plans for financial independence.
Mm-hmm.
Let's why don't we start with kind of what financial independence is to us.
Yeah. So the basic idea of financial independence is really that you spend less than you make and you invest the rest. And eventually, those investments grow so much over time with the way that the market grows and the way that you're saving in there that it is enough to cover your yearly expenses so that it never really goes down because it's growing faster than you can spend it because you've earned so much in that investment vehicle, whatever it
Right.
is. And so that basically means that you don't have to work for money anymore. So you've saved enough that money works for you on the other hand.
And as part of the reselling community, I think everybody has kind of that mindset of wanting to work for yourself, right? This
Mm-hmm.
independence of having a boss, spending time as you want to work whenever you want to, sell items, ship it whenever you've got time, work
Mm-hmm.
around kids that you might have, family members that you might want to be helping out. So all of those things are like so related to financial independence.
Mm-hmm.
And that's very much the mindset that resellers have. They just want to do whatever they want without having to have a boss tell them whatever, you need to do
Yeah.
this or that and be stuck
Yeah.
in it's something you don't want to do.
Yeah, working for the man. You don't want to have to work for the man.
Right. So that's the basis of what financial independence is.
Yeah.
We're trying to get to a point where maybe we'll retire early. That's kind of the plan. It's really a lofty goal for us.
Mm-hmm.
We don't exactly know when we're going to retire, but uh, you can't resell forever. You can't resell probably in your 90s, right?
Mm-hmm.
And some people say that life expectancy is going up. Who knows for sure if you want to be reselling at 90, if you can really be packing up orders and taking them to the post office or whatever. So,
Mm-hmm.
I think that everyone should have a plan so that they can figure out what it is that you want to be doing, you know, way in advance. And
Mm-hmm.
that's just about long-term planning. So
Yeah.
hopefully we'll inspire you guys a little bit about how you're planning for the future.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So let's say hi to some people in the chat. So hi, Margaret. So glad you're here. And hi, Jane. And hi, Outcountry Sales.
Hey, Amber.
Amber. How's it going? We are just so excited that everyone's here. We were kind of nervous getting online. We're like, oh, no one's going to show up. No one comes.
Really appreciate you guys being here. So if you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat. But we have a few things that we do want to talk about, kind of like, our current, our status of where we're at in our plans and kind of all of that. But
Yeah.
I think that it would be fun to just talk about where we started off, like, where our families have kind of helped bring us up with finance related things.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I kind of grew up pretty poor. I immigrated from Vietnam when I was like 1.5 years old. So we came over and we are pretty poor. So being financially frugal and cheap was kind of like a necessity, right? So that's kind of where I have always had this mindset of we need to save and we need to plan for the future and make sure we have enough to at least, feed ourselves and have a roof over our heads. And so we've always been financially minded, and I've carried that pretty much my entire life. I save as much as I possibly can. I, you know, going into dating Camilla, we would always have very practical dates and making sure that we are always talking about finances and stuff like that. So I think that that's been very practical for our relationship. And that's kind of everything that I brought into this relationship, is that I have a steady, thought mindset of what financial literacy is, being financially savvy at the very least, so that
Mm-hmm.
I could, you know, not go into debt, not have to worry about, owing anybody. Those are always some of my fears in the past, where, I go to school and went to university and have all these loans, but I always had that fear of owing someone. So
Mm-hmm.
the only debt that Camilla and I have are actually our mortgage, the house that we have right now. So that's kind of the status that we're at. Do you want to tell them your story?
Yeah, let me say hi to a couple more people in the chat. Hi, Veronica. Before she has to leave, hopefully we caught you while you were still on. And hi, Glama.
Hi,
We're so
Glamma.
happy to have you guys and just so excited that you're here. So for me, my family grew up very, financially minded, and my dad worked in finance, and we always just lived on, like, we used my dad's income and then my mom's income we saved. And they would talk to us a lot about money and just about kind of the ways to use your money and the ways in which your money can be used for you. And so that was really helpful growing up, because I always kind of knew, that every decision that my parents made, they were kind of deciding whether they wanted to, spend money or save money, and that they were trying to think about what was best for our family in each of those, and kind of helping us see their thought process in some of it, telling us, we're not going to buy that so that we can, go on a vacation or do this or do that. So that really helped for me in, my understanding of finances and things like that. And my parents actually did retire early. They retired in their late 50s. So it's also cool kind of seeing them, enjoy their retirement and have the time and the space to be able to do that. So that's really inspiring to us,
Yeah.
because then we see what that can actually look like for someone, who is actually like an early retirer.
Right. And actually, go ahead. You finish.
Oh, I'm good.
Okay, so I think that, along with that, they have inspired us, because the, normal age of retiring is about 65 here in the US, right? And anything earlier than that, that would be great. If we can retire at 55, that would be great. That'd be getting 10 years back. If we can retire earlier than that, that would be great. So speaking of, just retiring early, our goal is kind of this FIRE number, right? So financial independence, retire early, is FIRE. And our FIRE number is 1.5 million. So it's a pretty lofty goal.
Yeah.
So it's just a number to strive for, right? We have this really big goal, and we hope to eventually reach it, but just so that you guys have a framework of where we're trying to go, I think that that gives us a good backdrop of what we're going to talk about, of how we're going to get there. So why don't we say hi to a few other people?
Yeah. So
We've got Jane.
Jane is
Doe.
here. Hi.
Hi.
And then Margaret sent, it's so great that you have such a strong foundation.
Yeah.
In both of our situations, and kind of the balance of our two situations, I think really helps also, because we come in with these different strengths and different fears. And so the balance of the two together, I think really make us a strong kind of financial, I don't know, couple?
Yeah.
Powerhouse.
Power couple. So, yeah.
And then Jeff from eBay Addicts.
Hey, Jeff.
He says, hit the like button. We would agree. Hit the like button.
You should definitely hit the like button.
Yeah. And then Jane sent a question. So do you guys have another job as well? Yes.
Yeah. So why don't we start there?
Yeah. So we both work full-time jobs in addition to reselling. So reselling is just kind of a side hustle for us. We do it part-time. So I work for a church. I do adult continuing education, kind of running things for the adults in our church. And then King.
I work in human resources. I do a lot of training and development. I like to encourage others to try to reach their full potential. That's why I'm always rooting for you guys at the end of, a lot of our videos, because I really am trying to encourage everyone to try to strive to new goals and such.
Hmm. So we actually started reselling about 2 years ago now, and it started as just an Instagram page that I had, and it was really more just I was looking for a different hobby, a different way to kind of I don't know, live some of that passion that I had outside of I was in a different job and I wasn't feeling super passionate about it. And so started that way. And then it kind of morphed over time into I started selling on Poshmark first just to kind of try to get rid of inventory there. And then from there kind of grew into eBay. And now we list on 4 platforms. And so over time I've been involved. Like last year, Kane came on,
Yeah.
and so we split the work and do all of that. But now that we're in it, we've been doing it for about 2 years now. It's been a really good way to increase our income. So,
Hmm.
which has just really been helpful for us in this financial independence because our jobs were not like rolling in the money, all this stuff. We're happy with our jobs, but it helps kind of really get us
Moving
moving.
forward
Yeah.
to this goal, this really
Yeah.
lofty goal. So that's how we got started. It's not,
Hmm.
I don't know that we will ever really fully go into reselling because we do have concerns about, I don't know, like health insurance and all that. So I
Hmm.
think one of us will usually, or the mindset is that one of us will have a full-time job and maybe one of us will do reselling part-time
Hmm.
or full-time.
Yeah.
Just it just
At
depends on
least,
what comes up in our lives.
yeah, at least until we reach that fire number. And then from there, we'll decide what we want to do because then we'll have enough money to cover our health insurance and things like that.
Right.
But then, of course, it also depends on like kids and what our family looks like at that point because that's going to change everything
Yeah.
for sure. Um,
Glamis says eating that elephant one bite at a time.
yeah.
Exactly. Which kind of goes into Margaret's question. I think that,
Yeah.
if you're drowning in debt, we
Hmm.
don't have financial advice, but if it were us in this particular situation, it would have to be one bite at a time. It's
Hmm.
basically figuring out what the big picture is, what the goal is. If it's X amount and you have, a certain amount coming in from your job and reselling, you kind of have to allocate it in a way that makes sense to you, right?
Hmm.
Some people will say that the snowball method will work for them. Others
So,
say that the avalanche method works. So the snowball method, you want to go
yeah.
into that?
Oh, no, I don't know what they
Okay.
mean. I was going to ask you for that then.
So
I
the
don't
snowball
remember the difference.
so the snowball method is very well known in trying to, pay down debt. It's the idea of you trying to pay down the smallest debts that you have first, even if that means that is the lowest percentage interest rate. And so, some people say that money is partially psychology. I agree with that actually. Money is a very psychological, right? And so people paying off the smallest amounts, even if they have, all these other types of debt, they will do it and get rid of it because it's a psychological win and it makes them feel better and more motivated. And motivation is a really, really strong factor when you're
Mhm.
paying down debt. And so I think one bite at a time makes sense. The snowball method means that even if it's, let's say you have $1,000 of debt in one place, but $2,000 of debt in another place. If the $1,000 of debt has 7% interest, but the $2,000 debt has, 3%, which is lower, right? It's a bigger amount, but a lower percentage. You would think, okay, well, it makes sense to pay down the um, the smaller amount so that you have that psychological win. In that case, yeah, you should pay down the thing that helps you feel good so that you can just move ahead. And so hopefully that kind of makes sense. That's why some people, regardless of the interest rate, they will do the thing that helps them feel like they're moving forward. So
Mhm.
they'll do that and then pay the minimum on all the other balances.
Mhm.
And the avalanche method is kind of on the other side of that where they pay the highest percentage first, and then they'll aggressively attack that because mathematically it makes the most sense. So that's a really long-winded answer. Hopefully that makes sense. That's how I would think about it, but it's not just about the numbers, it's not just about math.
Right.
It really is psychological.
Right. And the main thing is, with financial independence is when you can't always be thinking about like the end of like, okay, retiring early, like, whatever is out there. You have to kind of think about like, okay, today, how can I either earn more or spend less? And using basically those two levers in your daily life. But then also a main part of financial independence is that you basically have one non-renewable resource, and that's your time. And so part of it is also making sure that you're using your time in such a way that actually makes you like happy,
Right.
and makes you fulfilled and all of that. And so there's part of it where you also just want to kind of have a life that you love. And so that, regardless of whatever your net worth is or, anything like that, like that's worth more than any money. So that's really what financial independence is that then it allows, the money for us gives us the freedom to be able to, live life in such a way that we don't have to, report to someone for a job or things like that.
Right. Yeah. So those are really good points. I think that kind of goes into something else that we want to talk about is, how reselling and the community has an effect on us. It's very inspiring to see a lot of people going full time. Like we mentioned earlier, I don't know that both of us will ever go full time at once, but we eventually want to maybe be part time when we hit financial independence. So we love reselling, we love the community. So that's been incredible to us. So let's say hi to a few people.
Yeah. So Jessica is here. Hi, Jessica.
Hi, Jessica.
We're so excited to have you. And then Jane says, wow, very impressive.
Thank you.
And
glad you're here.
Jane also, she agrees with you that it is psychological. You I think you do need that reward. Or at least if you have the bigger, like if you do the avalanche method, you have to really set up sort of milestones so that it seems like you're making goals over time,
Right.
Kind of breaking it up in some way. Grandma says math is hard. Yeah, I kind of lost track when you're talking. Honestly, I was like, I don't know about all these interest rates.
I think I might have lost track a little bit too, to be honest with you, but hopefully it made sense.
And Sarah says she found great success with the snowball method. It's crazy how motivating it is. Yeah, you feel like you get a payday when you pay off like one of the debts because you like feel like you have all this money. So then, and each time it gets like a little bit faster and faster, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And then Dana is here.
Hi, Dana.
Hi. And then she says, hi, everyone. And Billy Flipper is here.
Hey, Paul.
Oh, my gosh. Wow. So fun.
Awesome.
So, whole gang here.
Okay, so we talked about 1.5 million being our goal. We're about 30% of the way there. We have been really aggressively trying to get there the last few years. And even before we joined the reselling community, we've been part of the financial independence community. And that's kind of how we got started rolling with this. We've been a part of that community for quite some time, just taking in a lot of that knowledge and trying to figure out what it is that we want to do with our lives and make it meaningful. And so, reselling has been a whole lot of fun. And so that's why we continue to do it. Hopefully everyone agrees that, that's a great way to supplement their income. For folks like Paul, that's just incredible that he is doing it full time, that he's doing better than he did previously, right? At his other full-time job. That's why he quit his other full-time job to go full-time. I think that's amazing. Maybe we'll be there one day.
Yeah, he says almost $35 average sale price this week. That's crazy.
Yeah,
that's really high.
That's awesome.
That's amazing.
So with all of those things in mind, why don't we start kind of like our some of our strategies that we use to get, hopefully get to that financial independence number.
Yeah, so we already kind of talked a little bit about the ways in which we raise our income, which is really mostly just reselling. And then Kang also freelances a little bit, which gives us a little bit extra money.
Yeah.
And so that's really the main ways that we have increased our income. But then the main thing that we do is we try to spend less. So we work really hard to, we budget every month. And with that, we try to not like deprive ourselves from with anything. But really what a budget to us is, it's naming what matters, in terms of our spending. So kind of ranking, okay, these things are really important to us, and then these things are not really important to us. So we shouldn't spend money on the things that aren't very important to us. Like for us, clothing, which would seem surprising to people because we are clothing resellers, but clothing is not that like important to us. So we spend basically nothing on clothing. Like we pretty much get all of our clothes from the bins.
If we find it in our size, that's pretty much the clothes that we wear.
Yeah.
The bins tells us what we need to be wearing.
Exactly. Yeah. And so that's really, we don't spend very much on clothes. One thing that we do is with our groceries, we try to spend just about $2 per person per meal. And so what we do is we meal plan each week, and we, go to the grocery store just once, and then we meal prep during the week so that we can just kind of get it all out of the way. And so those are some of the main ways that we save money.
That means we're very conscious of how we're spending our money, but we make very good meals. I don't want you to think that we are depriving ourselves of really good meals, because you can do a whole lot when you make things in bulk, right? And I think that when it comes down to it, if you're making really good meals, you don't ever feel like you're depriving yourself of a restaurant meal or something, because we do go to restaurants. That's part of our budget. This just happens to be our grocery budget piece that we're talking about, but we do have a separate budget where we just go on dates and stuff. And so that's a really big part of our savings, because I once did a little thought experiment where if you do $2 per person per meal versus $5 per person per meal, that can be like $1,000 or more dollars each year. So if you just think about it in that sense, where if you have like 4 people in your family, it'll be a few $1,000s that you can be saving if you just be conscious of it and things like that. So Camilla said previously, you think about how much you're making and how much you're spending, and really try to maximize both, right?
Yeah, so let's catch up on the chat, and then we'll move on, because I think I see a question there. So we'll be shipping for like 8 hours tonight. Oh my gosh. Yeah, we have to ship a vacuum tonight, and we've never shipped a vacuum before, so it might take us a little while. And by we, I mean Kang.
We're going to do it after this together.
Yeah. Jane says 30% is amazing. Yeah, we're really excited about that. We think it might change if we do start a family, so we're kind of trying to go really hard right now.
Yeah. We are shoveling as much money into the investments and stuff based on our reselling.
Right.
So the better we do in reselling, the more money we get to shovel into our before our accounts before we have a family.
Exactly. And then Glama says, congrats to Paul. And Jane says, a want versus a need. Yeah, exactly. And I think that you have to realize that it varies person to person. So you can see someone's budget online and you think, that is outrageous. Like, that would seem like the worst to me. And that's fine. You have to define for yourself what is a want versus a need, and what makes you, like, what are the things that make you feel human, and like yourself, and, budget for those things. But the things that, you could live or let live without, So, and let's see.
Okay, so I want to actually talk a little bit about want versus need, because part of what we do as wants, some people will spend $200 on shoes. We'll spend $200 on a great experience going traveling. We'll spend $400. We'll spend $600. Visiting family.
Yeah.
And maybe going skiing. So it's not like we do nothing.
Right.
We don't just stay home and do nothing. So I do want to address that in a way where people understand that we just value things differently, and we try to be very conscious of that. We do budget for that stuff as well.
Yeah. And then let's see. Goyama says nothing wrong with a bindro.
Yeah.
Bindro? I
Yeah.
can't say it.
A wardrobe from the bins.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Exactly. That's so true. Yeah. I mean,
That's a portmanteau. That's what that's called. Two words
yeah,
smashed together.
That's a good one.
Bindro.
Yeah. And then Margaret says, what are some of your go-to meals? So we have like an 8-week kind of meal plan that we use, and we have lots of recipes from one of our favorite blogs is called Budget Bites, and she writes recipes and breaks down the like basically how much it costs. And so we love that website. We use a lot of her recipes. Tonight we made like a black bean salsa soup. And then what else have we made from her? We make like a King Ranch chicken casserole from her. And then another blog that we use often is what is it called? Half Baked Harvest, I think. And she has really good recipes. We have like a rosemary chicken salad. We make a lot of salads. We make a lot of all that. We also we try to eat vegetarian about half of the time. So between lunch and dinner, one of them is vegetarian, just so that we're not eating as much meat.
Right.
And
all of these are really good meals. Any of the meals that we don't like, we try to find a substitute meal.
Yeah, so it's like an 8-week meal plan, and if anything is like not good or we don't like it anymore, it gets
axed. Yeah, so it is a rotation. So once we get to a certain meal that we don't like, we just try a new experiment. We try a new meal, and hopefully we like it. So that we can continue to try to learn these. One of my goals is to learn all of our recipes and try to be able to do it without actually having to look at the online recipe.
Yeah, that'd
we
be
can
sweet.
do it by memory.
By memory, yeah. So Paul says, make an extra meal and send it to me every day.
Sorry.
I think it would cost more than $2. It would be like $2 plus like dry ice shipping. So would you pay that? We would send it to you.
Well, I will say this: if you ever visit us in Texas, we'll cook you dinner.
Yeah, and we'll make something really good. We'll make like steaks or something.
Yeah,
more than $2 per person.
No T-bone though. Anyway, okay, so Paul needs free DoorDash.
Thrifting counts as a date. That's true.
Oh yeah, we go on a lot of those dates though.
Yeah, we go on a lot of those dates.
Yeah. So what else do we have? Spent over $100 on DoorDash this weekend.
Wow.
If you value that, Paul, that's more power to you, because we know that you are really hustling with your reselling. So the money that you save, or the time that you save by doing DoorDash is probably worth it to you. So to us, we'll have all of our meals packed up ready, because we spend a lot of time at the beginning of the week to meal prep for the entire week.
Yeah.
We sometimes order out, believe it or not. Okay, so do you invest in stocks or crypto? We only have a few $100s in crypto, because it was given to us by a friend for our wedding, as a wedding gift. So just a little bit there. We have stocks, but that was before Camilla and I got married. I had bought some stocks many years ago as kind of for fun, because I wanted to learn about it. I don't have a whole lot in it right now. Our main vehicle for investing are going to be the index funds, and we hopefully you join us in our What's Sold videos, where near the end we talk about our experiment, telling people about more of the index funds and how we are using that to just experiment, to show you guys that it can be very motivating to look at, and then see that your money is working for you, money that is making money. So that's a great question. That is one of our topics that we'd like to cover, actually.
Yeah. So some definition. So crypto is like cryptocurrency. I'm sure a lot of people know that.
Right.
And then stocks are like individual, for individual companies and things like that.
Bits and pieces that you own of a company.
Right. Exactly. And then index funds or mutual funds. So mutual fund is like the bigger umbrella. And then underneath that, there's a thing called index funds. And those are a collection of these individual stocks. So the ones that we invest in mostly are this total stock market index, which is a collection of, like, I think
all of the
top
public
the public traded companies
in the U.S.
the top public traded companies in the US. And the reason we invest in that one is that it's self-cleaning. So when a company is no longer a top public traded company, like it's not doing so well anymore, it gets removed from that index fund and another one replaces it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a really easy way. If you aren't sure, if you don't know, like some of the other stocks that we have are like Costco. If you aren't sure that Costco is going to be, successful in the future, or Amazon is going to be successful in the future, this is a way to kind of spread your risk between different companies, so that if, one goes down, like let's say you have stock in Poshmark and Poshmark, goes bankrupt or whatever, then all your eggs are in the one that's been...
we sell on Poshmark too, y'all.
Yeah.
We don't want that to happen.
Yeah, no way. But so it's a way to spread out your risk a little bit. Although, of course, this is not financial advice. We aren't,
Yeah, not financial advice.
We're not financial advisors or anything like that. We're just sharing some information and, sharing our own story.
Yeah, if you would like a resource, we would suggest the book The Simple Path to Wealth by J.L. Collins. And it's one of the best books that we've read on the argument of why you should use index funds. It's one of those things where you set it and forget it. If you don't want to learn about stocks, you don't want to learn about trading, it's one of those things where he argues that it's one of the easiest things to get into.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's say hi to a few people. We got some more people.
Yeah, so Dana says hit those thumbs up. Yeah.
Thanks.
Soul Inspired Seller.
Hi.
Nicole is here. And Ginger Marvin.
Chris and Kathy, hi.
They say, food is the biggest thing we waste money on. Yeah, same here.
That's such a normal thing, though.
Yeah, I think so. Well, I think it's hard because food involves basically two distinct things: meal planning and actually the cooking piece of it. And so it's really hard because I don't think that there are many people that have both of those skills to both like plan all the meals and to cook all the meals. And so it's really hard.
You have to cook it well to really enjoy it, to like it. Otherwise, you won't want to do it.
Right.
So
yeah. So
I totally get it.
I think that that's the piece that is difficult. So that's why we have that 8-week rotating meal plan, because then each week I don't have to sit down, or Kang doesn't have to sit down and decide, okay, what are we going to eat this week? Or in the morning, what are we going to eat for lunch? What are we going to have for dinner? Things like that, so that the decision is already made, and I can be confident that I know how to cook these things.
Right.
So
yeah. So hopefully, you can find a few pockets of time where you'll make something and you supplement it once in a while. You get better at cooking, you get better at planning.
Yeah.
Hopefully that inspires you to do more of it.
Or maybe it just doesn't, like, maybe you would just rather not do that and work more. You probably make more working, like, judging from your YouTube channel. So it might be worth it to, order out or get things prepared.
Yeah, you guys are crushing it. So, you can work that way if you need to, right? Just to make it more time effective, right?
Yeah, so Nicole says, I'm on a plan to retire from the corporate world by 50 and work part-time for myself. I'm 14 hours on track. That's awesome. Oh my gosh, we're very jealous. I wish I was like that confident, So that's amazing.
That is awesome. That's very inspiring.
Yeah, for sure. And Janet.
Hi, Janet. Kudos to you for knowing this stuff. I have someone who diversifies my investments for me. Oh, that's great. So, we are like DIYers to the core, where we want to do this ourselves. We don't want to pay anybody to invest our money for us. And if we make mistakes, it's our own fault. But part of that J.L. Collins book that we mentioned earlier, The Simple Path to Wealth, he argues that the returns on the total stock market index is oftentimes better than having someone actively manage it for you. So that's somewhat of a philosophy. The data shows it for the most part, but you kind of have to agree with it to actually jump into it. So if you don't agree with that philosophy, then that's totally okay. But that's the mindset that we have. We are DIYers. We do it pretty much everything ourselves.
Yeah, seriously. Okay, so Margaret says taking notes.
Rob and Renee, hi.
Hi. Hi, we're so glad you're here. Nicole says it's hard.
Yeah.
Talking about meal planning.
I think
cooking.
people with kids
Kathy
have
says,
a
Kathy,
really tough
same, I get
time
it.
just in general managing time with kids and
Yeah.
picky eaters and things like that. So
Yeah.
we feel for y'all. It really is tough. I see my sister and her kids sometimes having a tough time eating things. So we totally see it.
Yeah, for sure. Renee says, I cook almost every night after work, then Rob eats leftovers for lunch.
Yes.
That's awesome.
We love leftovers.
Yeah. I wish that, at some point, maybe we'll cook more often. We basically cook the same thing for lunch and like one thing for lunch and then one thing for dinner for the whole week. And sometimes by the end of the week, it does get kind of old. Like it's kind of like, I don't know if I like this very much
it's like,
anymore.
Oh, we made a mistake.
But I think as we go on, we'll add more and more recipes. But for now, it's nice to have it kind of simple.
Yeah, I think as we get better at making these recipes, it gets faster. And then, we can make 2 meals instead of one for lunch, and spread it out throughout the week.
Yeah, exactly.
We've got plans.
Yeah. And Glamma says with kids, it's even more difficult because you have to be on a specific schedule. Yeah. Like King's sister, our nieces, they do ballet lessons and they're, in soccer and here, there, and everywhere. And I remember that from being a kid that, it felt like we got home and then we had to leave and go somewhere. And, it's difficult. So,
yeah.
And Renee says, all recipes is an app I use and it's very efficient for meal planning.
We'll have to try that out.
Yeah, I think that they have a way that it I don't know, connects to your grocery list somehow. So I feel like that's helpful. Yeah.
Oh, Nicole, you're working in the health industry, I think.
I think
nursing and a manager. Anyway, we hope that you're doing well. Don't work yourself to death.
Yeah.
Before 50.
Exactly.
Thanks so much, Nicole.
Yeah.
Okay, so hey, Steve-O Resellers is here.
Awesome.
Picky kids, picky husband.
Yeah, well, we're on the same page because I'm picky and then I plan the meals versus Kang will eat literally anything.
Yeah.
So I can put anything in front of him and he'll pretty much eat it.
Right.
So that's also helpful. So you have to have the pickiest person plan the meals so then they can,
right,
do that. So
it's also about trying to find win-win situations. Jane, hey, my brother invests that way and is all set to retire in 4 years. Wow. Well, sorry to hear about your setback with the divorce, but we've heard so many inspiring stories about people who have gone through divorce. We listen to the Choose FI podcast, and it can be very motivating to try to get your house in order after a divorce. So hopefully you are doing well, Jane. We're wishing you the best.
No, her brother got the divorce.
Oh, well, that's even more amazing. Okay, so in 4 years, that is one of those type of stories where we'd love to hear more, but maybe in the future.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, don't work yourself to death for sure.
HelloFresh and Clean Eats. Yeah. So HelloFresh, we tried HelloFresh.
Yeah, we tried it. I don't know. I feel like HelloFresh, like I still have to make the meal, and I feel like that's my least favorite part. So I don't know. I don't like the meal planning part of it and all of that, but it seems kind of weird that like you still had to put everything all together.
Right.
I don't know.
The whole thing about going to the grocery store, I think currently for the both of us, we just go together most of the time. So it's pretty seamless.
Yeah, I can see like when you have kids for sure, because like going to the grocery store with kids, it gets way expensive because they want to buy everything and like all that kind of stuff. So I can understand it for that for sure. Yeah.
Right. Oh, hey, Derek, the ATL Flipper is here. Rob and Renee. Yes, it does. And you can choose cook time. So wow. Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
That's really cool. We'll have to check that out for sure.
Yeah.
Jane. Oh, he's 58. Okay. So 4 years would be 62. Well, that's really good.
Pretty
still.
Good. Yeah.
I think that, if it's anything before 65, that's a plus.
Yeah.
So
And I think a lot of people nowadays aren't even retiring at 65. I mean, I know a lot of people just around that age that are really just not retiring and not really planning to retire anytime soon.
Right.
So
It's one thing to not want to retire, because
mhm,
I think that we can all agree that we can probably do reselling until we
mhm,
can't resell anymore.
right.
But people who have to work, that's a completely different thing.
Mhm,
And that's partially what we talked about previously, where we want to be able to choose our own path, right?
right. Exactly. Let's see. We have one more comment. So Ginger Marvin says, "Kids in stores is a nightmare." LOL. Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember like being a kid and begging my mom for all these different things in the grocery store. She used to buy us like we would get like the 25-cent bag of chips at the grocery store until they raised the price to 30 cents, and then she wouldn't buy it for us anymore.
Wow. Jeez. Glamma says she's about to go sit down for dinner. Have a great dinner, Glamma.
Yeah.
Okay, so speaking of kids, I think that one of someone asked us in our survey. We asked people, what questions do you want us to answer? So we plan to have kids, and how that changes our FI numbers and things like that, we'll have to recalculate that.
Mhm,
But even at 1.5 million, which is our goal, I think that um, by the time our kids hopefully are adults, we
mhm,
will be ready to retire.
mhm,
And speaking of kids and retiring, I think that part of what we hope to do with this flexibility of our work and stuff is that we want to, one of the reasons is that we want to have time to spend with our kids, not
mhm,
have to miss
mhm,
out on any events,
mhm.
stuff like that we think is very, what
Yeah.
am I trying to say? It's very important to us
Yeah.
to spend time with family and such.
Yeah. Someone said, that someone asked us, after you retire, like, what will you do? No work. I think they said, like,
Work would
um,
be no work would be boring.
would be boring. And I think, you know, I was thinking to me, well, just because it isn't paid work, like it isn't work that is on a W 2, doesn't mean that it's not work.
Right.
The work of raising a family and, serving a community and things like that's still work. It just
Yeah.
isn't paid work.
Right.
And so that's really what our idea of retirement is, caring for our family, caring for our community, whether that be volunteering in different places, like at our church or at, different charities and nonprofits and things like that. And then also just being able to kind of pursue creative projects and things, which again might not be paid ever, but
Right.
that doesn't mean that it's not worthwhile doing.
Yeah. And we want to travel pretty much at any
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, exactly.
We have these dreams of finding really cool flight deals
Hmm.
and being able to jump on a flight whenever we feel like. That
Yeah.
would be amazing.
Yeah.
But we're not
Yeah.
there yet.
Yeah,
So it's
exactly.
not just we want to. So it's some of it is self-serving, and some of
Yeah.
it we really do want to give back to the community and things like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, exactly. So let's
Try to
catch
find
up
a balance.
with the chat. So Nicole says, I 100% try to go to the grocery store by myself. Yeah.
Mhm.
And the garbage monster is
Hey
here.
Josh.
And Nicole says, I shop at Aldi. We love Aldi.
Yeah.
We don't go as often anymore because there's a Kroger right across the street from us. But I love Aldi. I think Aldi is like the best grocery store in the whole world. So
Yeah.
I love it. Super cheap items and not very big, which I also like because I get overwhelmed.
Right.
And Renee says, shopping is an extreme sport for me. I do not like shopping. I actually do like going to the grocery store, though. I like wandering around and, seeing what's good and all that. Glamma says, I'll have to catch the rest later tonight, but this was great. That's awesome. And Nicole had to go put her kids to bed. And Jeanette says, but if you could ship at Aldi, I bet you would. I bet they would be very efficient in shipping at Aldi. Like, that would be much better than going to the, whatchamacallit, the post office. That's the word I'm looking for. The post office. I should know that.
Look who it is. Have you ever bought Woohoo specials at Kroger?
So this is my dad in the comments. And so Kroger has the best. So they're called manager specials, but on the tag they say woohoo, you found a deal. And so we always call them woohoos. And they're like marked down things like dented cans or just different items.
They're
Like
items
that.
that you can still eat, but just
Yeah.
happen to be
Yeah, like they might
discounted
be
for whatever
overstock or
reason.
things like that. But my family loves to send them back and forth to each other, like who found the best stuff, who found the good deals. So yeah, it's a good money saver for sure. This week I bought a thing of guacamole that was on
That we ate in like a day and a half.
it was like manager special, and then I had a coupon on top of it, so it was even a better deal. So
Love it.
yeah, love it. Oh my gosh. And then I thought I was the only reseller who doesn't like shopping. I'm so with you. And Aldi's on Instacart. Yeah, that's
Whoa.
true. So I feel like that's a good deal for sure. Yeah. And then Renee says, you are not alone, especially when I feel like I'm wasting money on food. I wish I could grow everything in my yard.
Oh yeah, we have big dreams about our gardening, our yard. Well, we're almost 6 months into our marriage. We have a lot of things that we need to get in order with our house. It's kind of like all the reselling stuff is kind of taken over our house, but hopefully we'll find a good balance and work on our yard soon.
Yeah.
Our garden.
One day.
Currently it's just a yard, but hopefully it'll be a garden.
Yeah. Because I've heard, you can save some good money, and, I think it's also just a good outlet to have for gardening. So
cool. So some of the other things that we wanted to talk about, we've got maybe 14 minutes. Some of the stuff that we do currently to work around not having to worry about our budgets so that we can enjoy life are to credit card hack and to travel hack. And if you don't know exactly what that is, it's basically using the credit card points system to get points and then use it on travel and other things. And we always we always pay down our credit card. We have no credit card debt and don't ever plan to. So using a credit card will often give you points depending on which credit card you sign up for. We use one or two different ones and we get those points. We then put those into travel because you get to transfer some of those credit card points to travel points. And it's this whole thing where we don't ever feel like we have to spend our money or have to make a really big budget for. So we have a lot of fun. We don't just stay at home, do nothing, and just hoard our money.
So we would only recommend that to someone who, one, doesn't have credit card debt already, and two, is pretty confident that they can pay off that like price each month. And so especially for us, it really is we just transfer our expenses over to that credit card. We aren't spending any more money because we have that credit card. It's just really about putting the expenses that we already have on that credit card. So if you aren't confident that you can pay it off every month, I wouldn't recommend getting any credit cards at all.
Because credit cards are kind of a scam.
Well,
if you don't pay it off,
the debt,
it's like 21% each month, and that's insane.
So let's see. Jane had a question. So Jane asked, "How old are you both, if you don't mind me asking?" So I'm 26,
and I'm 30.
So still, just starting out. If anyone else has questions, send them in the chat. So you can, we're kind of getting close to the end of the hour. But if you have any other questions, let us know in the chat.
I don't have any. You don't have any credit cards? Well, we can't necessarily suggest getting credit cards. We just happen to have our own. And one of the things about reselling is that for eBay, at least, you're going to, you're going to spend a certain amount on shipping in most cases, right? For eBay, we use the shipping we pay through PayPal, and we attach our credit card to our PayPal. And so we know that we're going to pay off all of those credit cards. So why not get those points? So that's kind of our philosophy on it. We know that we're going to pay it off. We might as well get some kickback. So that's awesome. Okay, Paul. Okay, so I'm debt-free aside from mortgage. That's awesome. So we don't know about, working on our mortgage too aggressively.
because with mortgage, you want to balance the percentage on your loan with the amount that you could potentially be earning in interest in the stock market or in growth in the stock market.
Mhm.
So you want to kind of balance those. So, but then like King said earlier, part of money is psychology. So it feels psychologically really good not to have a mortgage too.
Right.
So you have to really balance those. So we pay a little bit more into our mortgage each month, but we don't have a ton, we don't really, really aggressively pay into it.
Right.
So
Yeah. So sometimes, there is a follow-up. I want to do a double payment. So we actually do kind of balance it. Like Camilla says,
mhm,
we pay actually extra into our mortgage each month, but not like super aggressively like
mhm,
a lot of other people do when they have a goal of paying off their mortgage,
mhm.
which is okay.
Yeah.
We just prefer to put more of it into the
Mhm.
stock market because on
Yeah.
average, the total stock market index will return about 10% over a
Mhm.
span of 50 years on average, right?
Yeah.
And so currently, I think I saw it returned 14% in the past 9 months for 2021. So our interest
Yeah.
rate on our house is about 4%. If you can do the math, it
Yeah.
just kind of makes a sense to us and to try that route first and
Yeah.
kind of see how that progresses as we're still figuring this all out, but the math makes sense
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. So it's really, for us, I think we'll end up paying off our house by about the time that we reach that financial independence retire early number, which is really nice because then our expenses can kind of go down with that.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's really about what you want for your life.
Right.
So
Do we
and
use swag bucks, fetch Ibotta? We actually don't.
no.
We should get on that bandwagon because we're missing out on free money, I think.
Yeah, but I also think that some of those things, you're basically selling them your data, which I don't love. So I'm not sure that it's like worth it. And not that I'm saying that,
That's wrong.
people
That's not wrong.
are wrong for doing that or whatever, or that you're gonna get yourself in trouble. But um it really is about again what you value. And so I mean, we're selling our data to Facebook and to Instagram. So like, what's the point? Why not sell it to some place that is actually going to give us some money back? So I don't know. Maybe we should. Is really what I'm saying.
She just made an argument to do so. So anyway,
Yeah. So Sarah
maybe we should.
says, agreed on the credit cards. I travel 100% free from credit card points.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah, we
Yeah.
love using it as a vehicle of
Mhm.
just managing our money a little better.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
we always pay it off. That's
Mhm.
that's the rule of
Yeah.
credit cards for us. We always pay it off.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. So there's never balance going month to month. So we're really not in debt because we're always paying it. Um, and then
I don't have any
Paul
debt.
says,
Also, don't have a wife or or house or land.
that's good. I don't think, people always say, that, a house is really like a great asset to have and all that stuff. But, right now renting is a really great way to save money. We pay a lot more in our mortgage than we would if we were just renting. We gain some things by that, but we lose some things by doing that. So, really it's all about, in all of these choices in your financial life, there are good things and there are bad things for each choice that you make. So it's really about what's best for you.
Yeah.
So
Thanks for the levity, Paul.
yeah.
Okay, so stock and crypto. So totally understand that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I think that diversifying is just the way to go. So
Yeah.
that sounds great. So speaking of stocks and crypto, we personally have an investment policy statement. It's part of our financial independence strategy. Is that when the market dips, we will have something to refer to, this document that tells us exactly what we need to be
Mhm.
doing. So we've planned ahead and said, okay, if the stock market drops 30% like it did in March of last year, then we know what we want to do. We
Mhm.
want to stay calm and try to figure out if it's a buying opportunity, this opportunity to just buy more so that when it goes back up, which it did this year, then it will have a lot better gains.
Mhm.
So hopefully that inspires you to look into an investor policy statement. It's just something that we have as part of our strategy.
Yeah, it's just something to look back on, when something changes in our investments or something happens that we know, we've kind of pre-made the decision so that our emotions aren't making the decision for us.
Right. Yeah, so we've got just a few more minutes. If you have any other questions, please feel free to put them in the chat. Otherwise, we're going to actually just talk a little more about what our timeline looks like.
Yeah, so Renee says the only reason I want the mortgage is for the tax break. Yeah,
smart.
Nice.
So maybe we can just answer a few other questions from some of the questions that we got from Instagram. You want to pick one?
Yeah.
So our timeline currently looks like we might be able to hit financial independence within the next 15 years. Based on that, along with having kids and things like that, that would mean that we may be able to retire at 45 and 40-ish. So we'll see how that goes. We don't know exactly how having kids will alter that trajectory, but we have some very lofty goals, and we have those goals so that we have something to strive for, and maybe you'll be inspired by this a little bit to kind of work on something like that too.
Yeah, so at this point it's really, for us, we've put a lot of things in place, and part of our strategy is really kind of putting things on autopilot of, each week with our reselling, we invest half of the profit. So we kind of made almost like rules for ourselves that help us, get to where we're going. And so now it's really just letting the rules work over time, and over time we're just going to get there. So now it's kind of like just one step at a time, getting closer and closer.
Right. Hey, Kay.
Hey.
So if you don't have any questions, we might find just one or two more from this Instagram.
Yeah, why don't you choose one?
Okay.
Yeah.
So what are our 5-year goals? You want to think about 5 years?
So I'm not sure what our well, we would like to start a family in the next 5 years and grow our reselling business some more. And we'd like to, travel some more, and, potentially even start, have a rental property.
Oh,
We're
yeah.
hoping to maybe get a rental property.
Yeah, we haven't talked about that at all.
But that's still kind of
part of our strategy.
Yeah, that's still kind of up in the air. We've talked about it a lot, but we haven't actually done anything about it. So it is a little bit kind of risky because, you have to deal with tenants, and, then if it's not occupied, then you have to have the expenses, but you don't have any income. So it's kind of like,
and we're kind of risk adverse.
Yeah.
In that way.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
We'll see. Yeah. I think that maybe we might start with Airbnb one of our rooms, just, during the weekends when we're at home, when we can look over the house, because again, we're risk averse.
Yeah.
And so,
don't want any weirdos in our house. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I think that's pretty much it. We're at 58 minutes. I think we're going to say bye at this point. We really appreciate you guys joining us. This was such a great time. We had so much fun, and we did not expect this many people to be conversing.
This was really exciting.
Conversing in the chat. So we really appreciate you guys helping keep the conversation flowing.
Yeah, for sure. So we will be back live again on October 6th
with
a
very special guest.
Yeah.
We'll be on with Harry Tornado. So hopefully you guys join us, because he is also into financial independence. He doesn't talk about it a whole lot, but we found out and we asked him, what do you know about this and that? And he is going to be talking to us about it. So join us on October 6th and he will be there. It's going to be such a great time.
Yeah. So it'll be, we'll announce it on our Instagram and on YouTube and all of that. Let me just show you this Philly Pepper comment. So
don't want
weirdos at your house, then don't invite me over.
Okay, Paul.
Okay, you're uninvited.
All right, uninvited. Okay. Hey, Jen. Thanks so much. Hey, you guys have a great week, y'all. You have a good night.
Good night. Bye.
Thank you again. Bye.